If anyone has plants, they almost always have a small or probably large list of plants that they're on the hunt for, or just wish list plants in general. I mentioned in an earlier video that I was struggling to add plants to my wish list right now because I had basically gotten all the ones that I had on my old wish list. But I finally compiled a list of new plants that I'm on the hunt for, and I'll share those with you today. My wish list isn't the longest actually. I didn't get super detailed for like the different kinds and everything. And I have a lot of just like general plants that most people would have if they're starting out. So these are kind of ones that are either harder to find or just some common ones that I just haven't found the right plant for yet. I am a bit more picky when it comes to plants that I want to get because I don't want to get a plant just for the sake of like, oh, I finally have this sort of pothos, I finally have this sort of philodendron and that sort of thing. I want one that's like, it fits the space that I intended to. For instance, I really love philodendron Brazil, but I didn't want to get another one until I found the right one. And I finally found this beautiful trailing one. And that's when I got it, and it just fit my space so much better than just like a little starter plant would have. So a lot of these are going to be like pretty common in, you know, just any store you walk into, but they're on my list specifically for like the characteristics that I'm looking for in it. And that's usually just big and trailing and not just like a little starter plant, or sometimes it's the opposite and I want a little starter plant and not just like a big full established plant. The first one on the list is probably the rarest out of all of them, and that is a Cebu. Once again, I'm gonna butcher all of these names, but I'll put each name on the screen so you can see how it's spelled if you guys are wanting to look it up, because you would not be able to tell by the way I pronounce things. But it's a Cebu blue pothos, and it looks a lot different than most pothos that I'm used to. Like I said, I'll put it on the screen so you can see, but it just has a lot more like angular leaves, and I just really love the silvery green blue kind of color. I can get cuttings of these from basically any seller in the area. Like a lot of people have them and like, you know, would sell me a cutting for like $5 or so. But I'm really looking for one of those chance encounters with one of those big full pots of Cebu. And those like have been popping up a lot in like neighbor states and everything, and just like the big box stores like your Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart, all of that. So it's kind of just like luck of the draw type thing, is it like, I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna find one if I like keep my eyes out for them, but I really don't go to those stores very often. So it's kind of just a waiting game for me to see if they get more popular or if someone's gonna be wanting to sell theirs to like make room for more plants. Yeah, so I'm not actively on the hunt for this one because I'm not like going store to store to find one, because I find that that's just a bit unrealistic. But it is definitely on my list, and I'm going to probably snatch it up the first chance that I can get. The second one is one of those ones that's a bit more common, but I'm looking for like a big full plant of it. I don't know the technical name, but it's one of those green veined marantas. I already have a maranta rabbit's foot, and I didn't want one of the red veined marantas that they have. I wanted specifically this green one. And I see a lot of starter plants of these around, but I just really want one that's like almost ready to trail or already trailing basically. So I can really just like fill up my space with those really pretty leaves. But I just haven't found a big one yet. I haven't this wish list is pretty new, so I haven't had a ton of time to search for them. So it might be more common than I think, but I just haven't ran into it yet. The next plant, I don't know if my wish list works the same everybody else's does, but I used to have this next plant when I first bought plants, and then it didn't fit my space anymore, so I had gotten rid of it and sold it to someone. But it's a neon pothos. I had gotten a massive trailing beautiful neon pothos for like $15 or $16 a year ago from a store in Utah, and I'm so sad that I sold it, but I probably would have gotten rid of it anyways to make my moving trip across states. But I'm on the hunt again for one, and like I said, I see a bunch of like little tiny 4-inch pots of these, but I really just want one of those big trailing pots of them because I find it's just so much prettier. And I don't know, it would just fit my space so much more. I have so many baby plants and I just need some more like trailing big plants to fill up the gaps. The next one was also one that I had for a bit, and I'm not sure if I had, so it's an Enjoy Pothos, but I'm not sure if I had an Enjoy or Pearls and Jade, because I can't quite tell the difference between those sometimes because they just look so similar, and you know, some leaves will look like Enjoy, some will look like Pearls and Jade, so I'm not sure. But I had like 3 little tiny starter plants that I got from a random shop, and I put those together in one pot, and I had to get rid of it when I moved, so I'm on the hunt again for, it doesn't have to be like a big established pot, but just even like a smaller pot of these, so I can add that back to my collection and fill up my space once again and kind of replenish the things that I had to get rid of in order to make my move. And I also want to get more just like big like floor plants, you know, the ones that like get closer to your ceiling, that are taller, more established, and just older, because I find those are a bit harder to get because it just takes so much time to grow them. But I want a big full like burgundy Ficus elastica, and I feel like that would be such a good addition to my space, and I just have a hard time finding established ones. Like I find them like a lot of little baby ones, and I don't really see a lot of full pots of them because, well, I don't know the reason really. I feel like they grow quickly, and I feel like they're popular enough and like more common. So I don't know why there's not more like big, full, tall, whatever options available. But that is one that I'm keeping my eye out for. And then the next plant I actually haven't seen in person, I think ever, but I'm not, it might have been, I just wasn't on my radar before. And it's one that it's kind of lower down on my priority list just because of my experience with them, but it is an Alocasia Frydek. And these are the alocasias that I think are actually really pretty just because they have those really big, beautiful green leaves. And I think if I wanted to give alocasias another go, this would be the go-to one for that. I just have loved the way they look, and I feel like it would just fit my space super well. Like I said, I haven't really seen them in person though at any of the stores around me at least. So I don't know if they're just less common or if it's just I'm not going to the right places, but that is on my radar. And if I see one that I really like and that fits, you know, my style, then I'm definitely gonna snatch it up and give it a second try because if I got an alocasia, I think that would be it. And then the last one on my wish list is a Peperomia Hope. And I've seen these a couple times. I usually see little tiny, like literally 2-inch pots of them, and they're not really doing anything. So I didn't really know what the growth pattern or like even what they would look like as established plants. But I actually saw one in a store a couple weeks ago, maybe even a month ago. And it was like, I don't know, like a 4 to 6-inch pot of them. And it still wasn't trailing or anything, but the leaves on it were just so pretty, and it made me instantly just think, okay, I want one of those when I find like the right one for me. That's not like, this one that I saw was quite damaged in some spots, so I don't like buying plants unless I feel like, you know, they're in good condition already, just because they're sometimes a bit pricey. But this is one that if I find one that like, you know, fits in and looks good and looks like high quality, I will take that and I will add that to my collection, just because I love like the big fat leaves. Like, if any of you guys feel the same way, leave it down below. I feel so weird saying that, but it's just so fun, and I think it'd be such a fun plant to add to my collection. Of course, this is just my starting out wish list. There's so many others that I can think of that I would love to add, even just as duplicates into my collection. But these were like kind of the main ones that when I go out shopping, this is what I'm looking for. I always end up coming back with like 5 other plants that I didn't have on my list and that I didn't even think that I wanted more of. But I think that's the way it works for all of us. But yeah, that is my full wish list for now. But I'm sure it's gonna get a lot of extensions once I learn about new plants and when I see a lot more pictures on Instagram especially, because there's so many good pictures of like super unique plants on there. But thank you guys for watching, and if you enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more.